2020 draft days come and gone. First ever virtual draft, and here to help us break it down, our Sports Night analyst, Richard Oliver. And Richard, before we talk Cowboys and their number 17 pick overall, I want to first ask you about the format. We had to fight this pandemic and do the best we could, and I think fans overall were just excited to have some sort of sporting event this month. And so what was your first impression of how the NFL conducted its first ever 2020 virtual draft?
I enjoyed it. I really thought that the whole thing, when going into it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a little herky-jerky. It's going to be kind of one of these things. It's going to be a little bit of a mess, I thought they were on top of it. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of funny watching Roger Goodell start with a suit and tie for the first 10 picks. And then he comes back and he's got the Mr. Rogers neighborhood sweater on and the whole thing. So it was just kind of a fun. I thought it was more fun than I thought it would be initially. We were making the joke that I thought it kind of looked like the Home Shopping Network every once in a while. Here's number 17 is it's a bargain. So I did enjoy it though, and I thought it kind of moved along at a great pace, and the anticipation was wonderful. The analysis was great. So yeah, overall, I had no problem with it. I thought the crowd sometimes was a distraction in the past. I actually like this a little bit better.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't even thought about that, and I completely agree with you. Moving on to the Cowboys. Number 17 overall, they select wide receiver CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. I love the fact that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys really, before this, hadn't even talked to him or interviewed him extensively. They didn't think he was going to be there at number 17. What is your thought about taking Lamb with that 17 pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody thought they were going to take K'Lavon Chaisson, the LSU defensive end, at that point because the Cowboys need defense so much. But when a player of that caliber falls into your lap, you're just like, listen, I'm gonna make the smart move here and take the best available athlete on the board. I mean, this is one of those things where CeeDee Lamb really completes an offense that was pretty powerful anyway going into the season, but. Boy, Jill, I mean, next year, Dak Prescott under center, looking over there, and there's Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, who was the breakout star last year. And now, of course, you got in the slot CeeDee Lamb. That's going to be a pretty good offense. And Ezekiel Elliott's going, I'm all for this. This is great because a little bit less attention on me as well. So it's more weaponry for the Cowboys. I really feel like they're going to have to go for defense. You and I will talk about that here in a few seconds. But the Cowboys overall are going to be very strong on offense. They may be strong enough to overcome some of the weaknesses they may have on the other side of the ball. It's going to be a lot of fun. That was a pick for Dak Prescott, and it was a pick for Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, those are the kind of picks that you look as an offensive guy and you say, that guy's going to make me better, because anything that takes the attention away from me, like Ezekiel Elliott, is going to make me much better on the field.
Moving forward with the second round tonight, you mentioned defense. They got to address some defensive needs. What position do the Cowboys go with tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, so that, it's funny how the second and third rounds, when you start moving forward like that, there's names that pop in that you just get, here's this guy from Southern Mississippi or a guy over here, but they're always system guys at this point. People, who's going to fit best into our system and what we need. You and I have talked about this time and time again. The Cowboys, they've got to do something in their secondary. You could look on the defensive side of the ball, and you could justify just about any position that the Cowboys would draft. I think probably on the line, it appears that I'm just presuming because of that first round pick that Jerry Jones feels pretty good about Aldon Smith being able to play. He feels pretty good about Randy Gregory being reinstated. I think he feels like that's going to happen. Maybe, again, he's privy. He's the owner. He's got some insight into something that you and I don't have. So I think he's thinking on the defensive line they're going to be okay if they get those guys back. Okay, but that said, you get a good defensive end. You get a good somebody like a stretch linebacker. And at cornerback, I really feel like the Cowboys losing Byron Scott, that was a big loss. I think the Cowboys really need to look at secondary. And again, you lost Jeff Heath. You've got to do something at safety. So again, you and I could go down the checklist of places on the defensive side of the ball and say anything they do, you could justify it as a good pick because the Cowboys really need some help on that side of the ball.
I would be very, very surprised if they did not address that secondary need throughout the course of the draft. Cowboys with the 51st pick tonight in the second round. Richard, thank you so much.
My pleasure.